Welcome back for another video. We're back for the Gameweek13 episode of the Experts. If you're new to the series, we have hundreds of participants, including top all-time managers and content creators. Every week we reveal the Experts team before the deadline, plus look at their transfer plans, captaincy, chip usage and more. This wisdom of the crowd approach will guide us all to better decisions and a better rank. So if you'd like to improve your rank and get help winning in mini-leagues through Experts data, hit subscribe. Starting off with the manager highlight, and we have a new name on top for the first time, Guy W. With a Gameweek score of 55, he's moved up to number 1 with 764 total points and a rank of 2.1k. Considering he's moved top with just 55 points, it's a nice reminder that it was a low scoring game week, so not to worry if you got a red arrow. There were over 1 million free hits active too. Somewhat unfortunate with Johnny not playing and Bowen's missed penalty, could have been more. He finished 6k last season and he looks on for another great season. Next up's the transfer activity among the experts. Very few roll on the transfer this game week, just 6%. A record 73% are making one transfer, 12% are making two transfers, and 9% are in a position of strength with the wildcard active. 12% of the experts are taking a -4 this game week. We caught up with one expert whose wildcard is active this game week and he shared his team and thoughts, more on that later. As far as which players the experts are transferring in and out, by far the most popular transfer is Foden, with 46% of the experts making a transfer having picked him up. With Trossard the most sold player at 34%, it's clear the experts are making the move for Foden, who is their favourite, with Saka next highest at 20% and then Martinelli. Perhaps part of the experts' consistent success is their willingness to move fast for players. Last game week it was Trossard as the top most purchased player, and they're comfortable selling him as quickly and on to the next opportunity. Kepa from Chelsea has been picked up by 3% of the experts. It's not a great fixture this game week against Man United, but if need be, he is benchable for a keeper like Ward. It's worth noting his form, with clean sheets in his last 3 games, including 3 bonus points, scores of 8, 6 and 10. He's had a price rise to 4.5 mil, but for a first choice Chelsea goalkeeper that's an absolute bargain. A couple of managers have sold Almiron, which also feels like a harsh one. He actually has more points over the season than Salah, which is really remarkable and perhaps underlines Salah's drop off. It'd be really interesting to see what the experts decide to do with Salah in the coming game weeks. With the vast majority of the experts owning Cancelo, Foden and Haaland, this blocks the Salah to De Bruyne move, so perhaps we see a move for Son or Kane. Arsenal and Liverpool have a good run of games for the final 4 game weeks before the World Cup. So we also have Gabriel, Alexander-Arnold, Jesus, Nunez, Saliba, Robertson and White among the most transferred in. Despite returning from suspension, Maddison's been dropped by 8%, and despite scoring in Game Week 12, Zaha's also been dropped by 5% of managers. Ruthless transfers, but hard to argue against the upside of Foden and Saka in particular. Saka was withdrawn in the 85th minute in the Europa League with a knock, and this is one thing to monitor as we approach the deadline, just in case it does become a serious concern. Onto the chip usage among the experts, 91% have used the wildcard already, with 9% activating it this game week. We may see just 1 or 2 managers still with the chip, if there is any we haven't heard from who are keeping it. However, you'd be surprised, as Gameweek13 is the clear last good opportunity to use it. Some have theorised that a Gameweek16 wildcard could be effective, as you essentially get a free hit or perfect team for 1 week, but it's very debatable if that is better than using it now. It's a chance to triple up on Arsenal and Man City right now, which gives you the edge over the rest of the player base who mostly can't get to that position. This game we caught up with one of the experts, FPL Berg, who has the wildcard active. He has an impressive rank history, including a top 1k finish, 2 further top 10k finishes and many top 50k finishes. He's kindly shared his team with us and his thoughts. He's got Ward in goal, back 3 of Trippier, Cancelo and Tarkowski, midfield 4 of Salah, Saka, Martinelli and Foden, and a front 3 of Tony, Haaland and Mitrovic. He said, "I've been on 3 premiums all season to mixed success. I had Son in the early game weeks when he didn't deliver, but I've been getting good consistent points from both KDB and Kane recently. This wildcard is a good opportunity to spread that money across the midfield and forwards. Now some good mid-priced options are emerging. Playing the wildcard after this blank game week should provide an opportunity to benefit from 3 City and 2 Arsenal players, with 2 of those being Saka and Foden, who wouldn't have been sat on many benches last week. I could get stung selling Zaha, who looked really threatening in the second half against Wolves, but Saka edges it. I'd planned to include Trent, so going without him to spend the money in midfield could also come back to bite me. I also looked at other Liverpool forwards to go alongside Salah, Darwin perhaps, but I prefer the more nailed options who are in better form. Thanks for the team and thoughts, Berg, and best of luck for the final 4. Onto the Gameweek13 captaincy, and little to discuss this game week. 96% of the experts have the captain armband on Haaland this week. Salah is second with 3% and 1% have picked Firmino. Firmino in particular looks like some shout, but it is a great fixture against Forest, who have conceded the second most goals of any team this season, so it could certainly come off. One point we've discussed in this week's videos is the fact that Man City go into Gameweek 13 with a midweek rest, while their opponent Brighton and all other teams have played midweek. This includes Arsenal, who had the Europa League fixture against PSV. It's impossible to quantify exactly what effect this has, but the extra recovery period is worth noting, and it does add to the appeal of Man City assets. It's also easy to forget that their last game was a disappointing loss to Liverpool, so they'll be raring to go and set the record straight. Right before we look at the Experts team, if this video has been useful, please remember to give it a like and subscribe for more content every game week. Thanks for all the support. So we're on to the Experts team reveal, built from the players with the highest ownership among all the experts, and the team is as follows. It's Ward in goal, Pope on the bench, with a back three of Trippier, Doherty and Cancelo. The midfield is Salah, Foden, Zaha and Martinelli, with a front three of Mitrovic, Tony and Haaland. Trippier is a bit of a dilemma this week. He's a top scoring defender in the game, but he is away to Spurs, which will be no easy game. The Experts team does have Guehi on the bench, who is an option to start ahead of him, but realistically the best you could hope for is a clean sheet from Guehi, while Trippier does have a goal or assist in him. The only change to the team is Foden, who joins in place of Trossard, who left the team as quickly as he joined it. Saka's expected to be close to joining the team after 20% of the experts that made a transfer picked him up too. Perhaps by Gameweek 14, when Arsenal are home to Forest, he could find his way in. The Experts team does look very well set up for the final 4 game weeks, unsurprisingly. Even Dunk, who sits last on the bench this game week, is a good depth pick, with Brighton's final 2 games being Wolves and Aston Villa, who have just announced the sacking of Gerrard. Each game week we ask the experts to offer their insight and tips for the game week ahead. Psycho FPL said, with Darwin's minutes managed midweek, we'll probably again see Salah playing wider than the linesman. For me, this easily makes Haaland the standout captain option. Fantasy Football Scout Joe says it's now a 4-week competition with Arsenal and Man City assets the priority. I will have 4 from those teams in Game Week 13 and a focus of my remaining transfers on 2 more. Jacob Sappo agrees. He says it seems clear that it's worth bringing in Foden and Saka over the next 2 game weeks. Which order to do it in feels like a toss-up, but I'm leaning towards Foden as I have a feeling Southampton might give Arsenal a tough game. FPL SMR says get Robertson in, well rested ahead of a goal-shy Nottingham Forest. Sambeda says, roll him. Plan is to do Salah and Andreas to Foden and Saka in Game Week 14. Flair Player says, now is the time to focus on big hitting transfers. Don't waste transfers on the likes of 4.5mm defenders. Andrew Debenham says, it's important to think ahead to Game Week 15 as well as the upcoming game week. In Game Week 15, many of the big teams play each other again. Although Arsenal, Liverpool and Spurs players might be flavour of the month, how many will we want in our starting 11 for Game Week 15? Carl Smith says, the next 4 game weeks are an opportunity to target certain fixtures and make strategic weekly transfers. To get that pre-World Cup boost would feel good. And lastly, Mardi Emedy says, good luck to all FPL players except Ward owners. And that concludes episode 13 of The Experts. Thanks for watching. If you found it useful, please hit like on the video and subscribe for weekly content to come all season.